Ba-dum-bum-bum. In this video, I'm going to answer a bunch of questions about how to repurpose your content for maximum reach, how to do it intelligently to get the most out of your business. If you don't know me, my name's Leland Redfield. I run the head of strategy for my wife's business, Sarah Beth Yoga. She's got almost 2 million subscribers on YouTube and a 7-figure membership. And I teach those strategies to other people. So I teach those people in my Skool community that's free. It's called the Operator Room. And solo businesses, coaches, and experts who want to grow a business online. And then we also do repurposing. So if people want to repurpose their content so they don't spend a bunch of time on social media, we help them do that as well. And so in this video, I'm just answering a bunch of frequently asked questions about repurposing, things that come up a lot. And so hopefully if you guys start repurposing, you can get more of your time back. You can reach more people. It only can do good things. And so let's get started. So first, all right, let's get started. So first, stop posting every day. If you're trying to post every day on every platform and you're doing it platform by platform, it's taking too much time. It doesn't have a good ROI on it. And so you need a different strategy to be posting more regularly. And so you shouldn't be logging into each app and posting. And so what you want to do instead is use interview style content. So do mock interviews with yourself, or you can do an interview with us. And we can extract all the knowledge out of you in these nice bite-sized clips. Those clips and transcripts can get repurposed to social media posts and videos. And from that one interview, you can get hundreds of pieces of content, and you can schedule it out and free yourself up to go do other marketing activities, or to serve your clients, or to be with your family. And so rather than going and posting every day on social media accounts, use a system where you can create one interview, create all of the content that you need for the month from that interview, and then schedule it out. And you'll free yourself up. You'll save 40 to 100 hours a month if you were to do the same level of volume posting individually. So use an interview style video to leverage content creation and stop posting every day on different social media accounts. So take me back to a time when you realized that helping people transform their health. That question sucks. Let's go to the next question. Before we get into strategy, can you give us a scoreboard on what you've built, where it came from, and where the strategy came from repurposing content? Yeah, so framework background on where I came from, or what my background is. So I read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek in college. My wife and I started trying to build a Muse, which is a business that generates enough revenue to free you up to do what you really love. We had a lot of iterations of that. We tried to sell creatine online. We did yoga websites. We did a bunch of different stuff. She ended up starting a YouTube channel. That did pretty well. And then I got hired by a software management, a company that built memberships. So they build memberships for creators. This was before COVID. And I started helping people build memberships. I left that job after a year to focus solely on building my wife's membership. And so we learned a bunch of strategies on what works, what doesn't work. And then I eventually took everything I learned, started coaching and teaching other people, solo entrepreneurs, experts, people that wanted small teams to grow their businesses. And that's what I do now. So I've got I have a lot of clients who are out testing things to see what works, what doesn't work. And then as those processes get better, we improve them, we share the strategies with each other. And that's kind of what got me to where I am today. We've been doing, we've had our membership for over 7 or 8 years, been doing this type of marketing for over 10 years, been really good at it for the last 5 or so. All right, name pain so precisely that viewers feel pain when they've seen. Find a good question here. There's this limiting belief that you're a great health coach with real results, that clients will come. You say that's actually one of the most dangerous lies in the industry. Why? Yeah, being a great health coach has nothing to do with getting clients. Well, I shouldn't say that. If you're a great health coach, that's the best thing you can do generally, because you want to be great at what you do to add value, right? But just because you're a great coach doesn't mean you're going to be able to get clients. So if you are a great coach, you need to tell your clients to refer people for you. Like, just asking for referrals is one of the best strategies ever. But if you have the best YouTube video on whatever your coaching thing is in the world, unless you understand how to get that video seen, nobody's going to see it, right? It's going to be the tree that falls in the woods that nobody hears. And so being a great coach is useful, but you need to understand these basic marketing principles. And more importantly, you need to understand what mistakes to avoid, because it's more about people making mistakes and doing too much than it is about doing like the best, fanciest strategy. It's more about just basic clicks to close. How many clicks does it take to get people to close? Yeah, so what does the content hamster wheel actually do to you? What does it do to your body, your time? The content grind isn't just going to steal your hours. So it's going to steal the hours that you work. It's going to steal your mental bandwidth, because you're going to have to think about what you're producing. You're going to have to get in production mode. You're gonna have to put on your mask, right? Whatever it is. And then you need to post it, you need to follow up, and you need to engage afterwards. And so if you're doing all those things, then you only have 24 hours in a day, you're sleeping for 8 of them, so you're up for 16. It takes up a huge percentage of that time. And it takes up your mental bandwidth, and if you don't have the mental bandwidth, if your mental bandwidth's full, you don't have bandwidth for friends, for family, for unplugging from that. And so if you're on this constant hamster wheel where you need to be producing content, then you end up in this place where that becomes your whole life, right? And you can't get a break, and when you do get a break, you feel guilty about it because you know the other areas of your business are suffering. And so the best thing you can do is film a bunch of content, your marketing stuff, the things that drive leads to film all that stuff in advance, schedule it out, and then you can focus on other areas of the business, or you can go live your life. But if you are on this wheel of I need to post every Monday, it comes with tons of anxiety, stress, and so you really want to avoid that. All right, so when I said most health coaches are repurposing content entirely wrong, what are they doing wrong? What are they missing? So it's not that you're repurposing content wrong. It's that most of the coaches aren't doing it enough, and they're not repurposing from like a good base interview. Like having a good base interview that repurposes everything can extract all the information that you need. What people are doing instead is they're repurposing podcast interviews or these other videos that they've made, coaching videos, and those are fine, but they're just not as potent across the board because when people find clips of you, you want to convey value, which an interview does that. You want to capture their attention. Interview does that. You want to be perceived as an authority. So if you're being interviewed, then you're perceived as an authority already. And you want to raise the belief that you can help them. They need to believe that you can help them in order to purchase from you. And interview questions give you an opportunity to raise that belief. And so most coaches, when they're repurposing, they're repurposing the wrong content. It's not targeting the buyer. It's not building belief. It's not telling them to take the next step. And then they're also not repurposing to the extent that they can get more out of the content. So it's not just shorts that you can make, but it's carousels. And do you know how to do carousels for Instagram? Do you know how to weaponize carousels? You can do LinkedIn posts, you can do Facebook posts, you can repurpose emails or post in your community. And you can get really good content that looks and sounds like you, and that's in your voice. It's just that you have to know how to do it, how to grab that core piece of content and then repurpose it into valuable content that drives leads and sales. I know follower count is follower count actually correlated with coaching revenue? No, it is not. Follower count is not correlated with anything because I know there are coaches with 200 followers that are getting premium clients. I know there are coaches with 300 followers making 20K a month. What's the difference? Followers have nothing to do with anything, really. It's all vanity metrics. And so 90% of the 90% of the buyers don't comment, and 90% of the commenters don't buy. So coaches focus on the wrong things. They see somebody that comments and they think that's a lead. That guy's really hungry. Most of the people don't comment if they're going to buy. They just watch your stuff and then they'll take an action quietly. They'll email you. And then the other thing is a lot of coaches have small followers, but Instagram's not the way they're getting clients, right? So that might be a byproduct of all the other things they're doing. If you just run a business on partnerships where you're partnering with people who have audiences, selling directly to their audience, you can have zero social media presence and have a super profitable business. You don't even need social media to get leads. And so the model that you use and how you get leads have nothing to do with the amount of followers you have. So do not be impressed by somebody that has lots of followers. It should mean nothing to you. You should watch the content and see what you think. All right. Walk me through the one interview process, content system. How does a single interview turn into a month's worth of content across Instagram, TikTok? All right. So how does the interview process work? So every business is a little bit different, but typically first I'll ask what is the core product that they have? How do they actually make money? And you'll build an interview around that product. So if they are a plant medicine retreat host, then you'll do an FAQ about the entire plant medicine experience, what people should know about plant medicine before they get started, how to vet your guru, how to make sure the medicine's safe, what to do for before the ceremony, during the ceremony, after the ceremony. So you come up with this huge list of questions that answer all the potential questions about the product and how they make money. And then you use AI, like I'm doing right now, to create an interview for you. You pull the AI up, you record in Riverside is what I like to record in. And then you use Riverside to get the video and the transcript. And you use the transcript with AI to repurpose all the other content. So, hey, make this into a LinkedIn post, or hey, make this into as many LinkedIn posts as you can without being redundant. Make this into Instagram carousels without being redundant. How many Instagram carousels can you create? And so you use the transcript to create all the extra content. And then you use a tool called Opus Clips. You grab the video, you plug it into Opus Clips. That will repurpose that video, the interview, into several shorts, which I'll do with this video when I'm done. And then you can publish directly from Opus to your social media. It has AI for subtitles and things like that. And then you're done. And so that's the whole process. You research to come up with the interview questions. You record the interview. You record the interview in Riverside. The transcript goes to AI. You create all the stuff with the transcript. And then the videos go to Opus. You create all the videos with Opus, and then you're done. And that'll get you at least 30 days worth of content, depending on how often you're posting. Why is an interview process the best possible content format for a repurposing strategy versus a webinar, a live stream, or YouTube video? So an interview is the highest leverage asset because an interview is the single highest leverage asset that coaches and experts can produce, because really what you're doing on the internet is you're just vomiting your expertise. You're brain dumping your expertise on the internet. That way people know you're an expert, they like you, and they trust you, right? So in order for them to buy from you, you need to share your best stuff. They need to believe that you can help them. And then you need a lot of quantity, because there's lots of people posting all the time. So you need to be posting a lot on every platform. And then all of your content, all of the stuff that you're posting now that you're posting a lot, needs to be pointed at one single most profitable click. So collect an email, get them in a Skool group. But one of the biggest mistakes people make is they create content, but they have 20 different offers. So everybody's scattered. So you need all your content to point to one destination. And then the interview questions become really potent, because you're answering frequently asked questions for your core audience. So you're already like in their head. You're showing that you know how to answer them. If they like the answer, you're showing them how to work with you. And if you do an interview with 30 or 50 or 60 or 100 questions, then you can get multiple clips from, you can get 50, 60 good shorts with good clips. You can test all that stuff relatively quickly. And if it works, you can do more of it. And then you can also, interviews are really flexible, because if you come out with a new product or a new system or a new offer, you can just do an entire interview series around that, one big interview where you can answer all your questions, and then that content's out in the world, working for you, building you credibility, and then directing people back to where they work with you. Repurposing roadmap. Can you give me a full breakdown after we record the interview today, the pieces of content that will be extracted from each platform? So yeah, after this interview or after an interview, what are the main pieces of content that you can extract? So with every business, it depends on where, like, are you on Facebook? You can get Facebook content. Are you on Instagram? If you want to be everywhere, you can get content for everywhere. But once you do the interview, then you make content for the platforms that you're promoting, right? So, but if you want to be everywhere, then you can do an interview. You can do one interview. You'll get multiple YouTube videos, long YouTube videos, multiple long YouTube videos, multiple shorts, so 50 or 60 shorts, depending on how you do the interview, but very realistically 50 or 60 shorts. They can all be published on all of the different platforms. So Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, TikTok. And so if you get 50 posts on 5 platforms, you're at 250 posts, right? That's pretty consistent. But not just video posts. You can take the transcripts from the interview and you can create just copy posts on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on all of the platforms, right? So that one interview can turn into a video a day and a post a day on 5 platforms, and then you have 10 posts going out a day, and now you're posting 300 times a month. Presumably, all of the posts are valuable, because if your interview is structured correctly, you're adding value the entire time. So you don't need to worry about what should I post today? What should I create? Like, all that's done. You've already created stuff. It's already valuable. And so that's kind of the roadmap, is you create the interview and then you create all the content that you want for the platforms you're promoting on. If you want to be on every platform, then you can easily get content for every platform by using this strategy. And then you use Opus to do the clips. And then I use Cloud AI to create the rest of the social media content. He said hiring a social media before repurposing is one of the most expensive mistakes. Don't hire a social media manager until you do this one thing first. Don't hire a social media manager unless you try this repurposing strategy first, because you'll spend 1 hour doing this strategy. You'll get a month worth of content. You'll see if it works. And then at that point, if you want to hire a social media manager, you can. But I just think that it's really overrated. And what happens with a lot of coaches is that you end up wanting to grow your business. So you hire employees or managers, and then you end up managing the managers, and coaches don't want to be managers. So coaches want to coach. So in this scenario, The coaches and experts get to stay in their zone of excellence a lot more because they're just coaching, and the coaching's doing the work to drive the clients. But if you start hiring social media managers or Facebook ads managers, then now you have to manage the managers and you're not in your zone of excellence. So don't hire a social media manager. Everyone thinks that wellness transformation photos before afters are highest performing content. What actually outperforms them and why? Befores and afters are your best content. So anytime you can do befores and afters, because those raise belief. People want to believe that you can help them, and befores and afters and testimonials are the best form of proof to do that. So if you can only share testimonials, you'd be in good shape. But if you don't have testimonials, then you go out, prove yourself, and you get testimonials after you prove yourself. But yes, if you have testimonials, before and after shots, share those all day long. You said that health coaches go viral. You said that health coaches who go viral are often teaching things that are wrong or oversimplified. The ones with real expertise stay invisible. Is that fair to say? So I did not say that. No. So what I said is that going viral is not always a good strategy for people, because the things that you need to do, to go viral are different than the things that your core audience would want you to be talking about. So you might go viral with a dancing video and you'll dance and that's cool. You'll get lots of views, but your core audience who has the problem that you solve doesn't care about your dancing video. So they're vanity metrics. If you're chasing virality, you're going to be chasing views and you're not creating the content that is the best and most useful to your ideal client. And as we transition away from social media but to interest media, your client is going to get served things that are interesting to them. And if you are making dancing videos or silly viral trend videos, then you're going to get lots of views and very few clients. So, and you don't even need to do it because it takes up too much bandwidth. It doesn't move the needle in the right direction. All right. What is a piece of content that you didn't post because it felt too vulnerable, too personal, or ended up being too impactful? I almost deleted this before I posted it. All right, so what's the most vulnerable piece of content that I've shared? So I don't share a lot of vulnerable content. I don't think the internet's a good place, to be sharing vulnerability, at least in my space, as a coach or an expert. But generally speaking, you don't need to share vulnerable stuff in order to connect with your audience. You definitely can, but you don't need to. So don't feel that pressure of like, oh, this was really vulnerable and I didn't feel like I wanted to share it with the world. But the world doesn't need to know about your problems or about your vulnerability. The world needs to know that you can help them solve their problems, and then they need to know how to connect with you in order to do that. So if you want to share vulnerable stuff, you definitely can. It won't hurt, but it's not necessary. What single content on form on Instagram perform consistently for health coaches? Why do repurpose interview content fit so well? So short form content that's dominating for the health industry right now it's all question and answers, right? So that's what's so great about the interview process, is that you can literally ask yourself, if you want to follow trends, which I don't recommend, but if you want to follow trends that are more viral, what are the biggest questions people are asking in your industry right now? And then put those questions into your interview and answer them. And so if you're doing like biohacking, a lot of people are asking about methylene blue or oxygen therapy, right? So what is the cutting edge of your industry? Build those questions into your interview if you want to chase viral trends or, stay on the cutting edge. But you don't need to do that stuff. You can focus on just education. It doesn't need to be viral, it doesn't need to be recent, doesn't need to be new. It depends on your industry. Yeah, but you don't need to chase the stuff that's viral, right? You just want to build good content that's helpful. At what point should a one-person coaching business actually stop trying to grow their audience and just focus on converting the audience that they have? So at what point should a one-person business stop focusing on growing their audience and just focus on converting the audience they already have? Probably have enough followers already. You probably have enough followers already. Stop chasing more. So should I promote my business more, or should I promote more, or should I serve my clients more? To me, if you build the system right, you do both of them together. Like the work solves both problems, so you don't need to separate them. Your interview stuff becomes the engine that drives the leads, and the interview stuff can be the stuff that serves clients, or it can be the coaching can be the stuff that serves the clients. So you don't need to choose between, do I promote, do I sell to the audience that I currently have? You should always be doing both. Like it's a constant wheel where, a lot of coaches, what works well is that you just have a monthly cadence. So you sell your stuff one time per month, you promote throughout the entire month, you make one big offer at the month, and then you do the same thing with your members. You have a 30-day cycle, you teach them something new for 30 days, and then you teach them something new the next month. Man, I will say, This might be some of the worst jobs I've done answering some of these questions, partially because I'm thirsty. Do a couple more. What a full content week looks like when you're doing it alone. What does a full content look like when you're doing it alone? So if you're doing it alone, you start on Monday, you do some research, you come up with your interview questions, you open Riverside, you put your interview questions in Riverside, you record the interview, you take that interview, you put it into Opus, you get a bunch of shorts out of the Opus, you get a bunch of long videos out of the Opus that go on YouTube. All the shorts get scheduled on all of your social media, so LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Just do 1 or 2 per day, and you should be able to get it out for the next month. Do the same thing with your YouTube long videos, schedule 1 per week, and then grab the transcript from Riverside, plug that into Claude. For me, I make Instagram carousels, so I'll make a bunch of Instagram carousels out of the interview. I will make LinkedIn posts, I will make Skool posts. Yeah, and then I will schedule all of that out. And usually I will record the interview on one day and I'll do all the scheduling and the editing the next day. And then I'm usually done for the month. I can always do more if I want. And sometimes I'm doing more because I'm testing things. But the bare ass minimum, do your interview on Monday, do your content repurposing on Tuesday. It should take you maybe an hour, 2 hours each day. And then you're done. And then you are done for the month. And then go do other things with your life. Scaling doesn't mean hiring people. Here's what it actually means instead. Scaling is... Your business is just systems. It's a bunch of tasks. It's a bunch of tasks together that create a system. So scaling doesn't mean that you need people to create those tasks. You just need to be able to get those tasks done. So you leverage AI, right? You used to need to hire people to edit your videos, and now you can use AI to edit your videos, and you don't need to hire people. So in the age of the solo entrepreneur, you use AI to complete the tasks that you need to do. The tricky part is figuring out what are the right tasks to do and what are the right AIs to do them. And then what are the minimal inputs that you need to do in order to run that system. And so when you think about scaling, the first question is, can an AI do this? And then if it can, you try the AI first before hiring somebody. Bigger the mission, beyond revenue, followers. I don't like that question. What do you know about building a coaching business that someone had told you? What do you wish you knew about a coaching business that someone had told you from day one? What I wish someone told me before we started. So what I wish someone told me before we started was understanding how partnerships work and a partnership growth engine, because if you can leverage other people's audiences, then you can skip all the social media stuff. And so I spent a lot of years learning social media, trying to figure out how to create the content that generates the leads. And that's been really helpful. But if I understood partners at a very high level, I probably wouldn't care about social media. Social media is really fun, but if you understand that you can create this and this partner has a bunch of people that want to buy it, and you just know how to build those relationships, that's really powerful. And you can do all that and be basically invisible. So if you don't like being public on social media, then you can be very private and work through partners and grow a very powerful business. What's one piece of advice that no business coach will give you? So one piece of advice that no business coach will give you. So nowadays you'll get business advice. Everybody will give you every piece of advice. But I think one of the things that I really try to incorporate is everybody's different. So there is no blueprint. So as you're building out your business, which is really just this extension of yourself, how you do that needs to be aligned with who you are as a person, because otherwise it'll eventually burn out. And so I spend a lot of time trying to understand the people that I work with. What do they like doing? What do they hate doing? And then tailoring a strategy around what type of business would give them the most energy. Right. And so any coach that says, here's the formula, you upload on YouTube once a week, here's the scripts, here's what you do, and then go do it. The strategy might work, but it might not work for you. So really you want to find the strategy that works best for you. That's part of why I like the partner strategy. I'm very good with partners. I like talking with people much more than I like creating content. And so one piece of advice is that everything's going to work, but you want to figure out the strategy that works best for you. For health coaches walking this who feel like they're doing everything but nothing is working, what's the first thing you tell them to do tomorrow? If you feel like nothing you're doing is working, right now, and so what I told somebody today who said the same thing, that they built a business, they kind of wanted to quit, and they had some good traction. So what I told her to do was message all of her past clients and say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this new offer, this new great exciting offer. Do you know anybody who'd be interested? And so she had probably 300 past clients. She's going to go through and just text them. And if that offer is good, then she'll be able to sell it right then. And she won't need to do social media. And so if you're thinking of quitting, it's always easiest to work off your warmest list. So the people that you've worked with most recently, the people that you worked with before that, ask them if they know anybody who'd be interested in working with you. It's way easier if people introduce you to somebody to sell them or to get them on a paid program. And so operate from like your warm clients, your warmest network, to then social media, which is more of a cold network. So that would be the advice I'd recommend somebody who's quitting. All right, so that's all the questions I'm going to answer. If you want more help, I have free coaching inside the operator room. Link is below this video, and I also have some stuff there on how I repurpose videos. So if you want to use our interview style system, everything's broken down in there. And then if you want to work with us as somebody that can do that interview style for you and schedule it for you, that's in the Skool group as well. So it's the operators, links below this video. And thanks, hope this was helpful.